coconut crusted fish. Hi, welcome to Sanjeev Kapoor Khazana. I'm Sonaka, and the recipe that we're making today is a very interesting one. Well, we're using a combination of fish and coconut, which is quite a traditional combination in a lot of curries. But today we're going to be making a fried fish that is crusted with coconut. So let's quickly take a look at the ingredients to make coconut crusted fried fish. Fish fillets, grated coconut, corn flour, basil leaves, eggs, chopped garlic, chopped ginger, soya sauce, bird eye chilies, honey, lemon, salt, oil. Now that we've seen all the ingredients to make this recipe, let's quickly start putting it together, for which we're going to first marinate the fish. And so let's season it with some salt. Let's add a little bit of crushed black pepper. Next, I'm going to add a tiny little bit of chopped garlic. And finally, I'm going to add the juice of half a lime. I'm also going to add a tiny hint of spice by adding some chopped red chilies. I'm using bird's eye chilies here. You could use any that you want. And since these chilies are really spicy, just one should be more than enough because I'm not even de-seeding them. And now I'm going to rub this marination nicely on the fish so the flavors seep into the fish fillet beautifully. So now we're going to let this fish sit in the marinade for about 10 to 15 minutes, and in the meanwhile we can prepare a lovely dipping sauce to go along with these. For the dipping sauce, it's a really simple one. All we need to do is mix in a couple of ingredients and it's ready, and it's also delicious. So I'm going to take a couple of spoonfuls of soy sauce first. To this I'm going to add some lemon juice. Next, let's add in some honey for sweetness. And now let's give this a slight mix. Now for the next part of the dressing, we're going to very lightly saute some garlic, ginger and red chilies. So I'm going to get some oil in a pan. So while the oil is heating up, I'm going to just slice a red chili, chop a red chili. So now the oil has gone nice and hot. Let's add in the garlic. I'm also going to add in the ginger. We're using chopped ginger here. And now we're going to add in the chilies that we chopped. Just give all of this a good mix. And you don't really want them to cook, you just want them to saute very lightly so that the raw flavor and the raw, extremely intense smell from these aromatics goes away. At this stage, I'm going to turn off the heat and transfer this into the lovely dipping sauce that we're preparing. And I'm going to give this a good mix. So now let's put this aside, and I'm going to chop a couple of basil leaves. So I'm going to very roughly chop them and add a bit of it to the sauce. So in go the basil leaves. And I want to mix this again. So our sauce is ready. I'm just going to keep this aside, and now we can move on to frying the fish. So now, to prepare the lovely coconut crust for this fish, I'm going to take some coconut in a plate. Now this coconut is grated, it's not scraped. This is grated coconut and this is scraped. And this is very effective in a coating because it's going to stick much better. So I'm going to use a coconut that has been first peeled to get rid of all of the brown outer crust, and it's been grated. So let's take this into a plate. And to this, I'm going to add a tiny spoonful of corn flour just to make sure that it sticks beautifully to the fish. And I'm also going to add some basil leaves so the crust also has a beautiful basil flavor. Next, let's salt this a little. So a little bit of salt for taste. And let's also add in a tiny hint of crushed black pepper. And now let's give all of this a good mix. And let's keep this aside for a bit. In the meantime, I'm going to crack an egg in a bowl. Now let's just slightly salt the egg a little and whisk it nicely. So now we've got all the components for our delicious coconut fried fish ready, and I've got a pan that is heating over here, and I'm going to fill this with some oil. So now we can start putting this together, and for that I've got a beautifully marinated fish fillet, which I'm going to coat in the egg. And next we're going to dip this in the coconut crust. And now let's place this in the pan till it fries beautifully. So now we're going to fry this fish for about 2 minutes on each side till it's perfectly cooked in the inside and the coconut has gone nice and crunchy on the outside. Now you can see that the fish has got this beautiful golden brown crust of coconut on the outside and it's perfectly cooked in the inside. So I'm going to get it out on absorbent paper. And all that we've got to do now is plate this beautiful looking dish. So let's get our dipping sauce into a bowl. And now let's place our lovely coconut crusted fish on this. And now let's garnish the sauce with a sprig of basil. So here it is, a beautiful recipe for a coconut crusted fried fish. The dipping sauce that we've served along with it goes beautifully with it. So make sure you try this recipe.